Okay, hi everyone. It looks like we are live and ready to go. I hope you guys are as excited as I am to be having Erica here with us. Before we get started, I want to kind of walk you guys through a little bit of what's going on. For those of you, we've actually opened this up to the public. We've usually just kept it closed on our own embedded in our own personal page. But I've kind of opened it up so that people can watch it on Google Plus if they so choose to. So if you are watching on Google Plus, welcome, and you'll be our first timers watching it on Google Plus. And just for your information, those of you that are watching it on Google Plus, I will try to check any questions that you might have throughout the training. If you do have questions, write them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to keep us keep the questions updated. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, and then for those of you that are watching through the website, thanks for being here. We're glad you're here. There is a chat box next to the screen where you guys can talk amongst yourselves. And if you have any questions throughout the training, you can ask those questions there. If the chat box is not up for you, a lot of times it's just an issue with the web browser. So try a different web browser, and that will usually solve your problem. And then I guess it is broadcasting live on YouTube. For anyone that's on YouTube, welcome. And yeah, if you want to come join us over on the website so you can be a part of the conversation, just go to cakefu.com. There is a link right when you get to the webpage that will take you right to the training. So, all right. And again, for those of you that have any questions, make sure that you ask them in the chat box so that we can get them through to Erica, which would be wonderful because she's so great. All right, so let's pause for just a second and for editing purposes, and then we will start our broadcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our CakeFu Masters series. I'm Amelia Carbine. I'm very glad that you guys are here with us today. We have a really, really talented and really just inspiring guest. I know that I've gotten a lot of comments this week about how much everybody loves Erica OBrien and how they're so excited to see her on CakeFu. So thank you, Erica, for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Oh, good, good. Well, we're excited to have you, and so is our audience, clearly. Let's start off, Erica, with a little bit about yourself. Let's have you tell us, how you got started, what got you interested in cake decorating, where you're from, your bakery, things like that, just your background.
Yeah, I'll give you the long version, and then if it's too long, just sort of let me know, and I'll give you the abbreviated version. So I grew up in New York City in Queens, and I kind of never knew what I wanted to do. I was never one of those kids that, from the 4th grade wanted to be a pediatrician and then they actually go out and do it. That was never me. But my mom always sort of encouraged me to do whatever it was I wanted to do. I liked writing, and after college I got a job at a publishing company in downtown Manhattan. And my trip on the F train from Queens to my job, I would get off right at 23rd Street, and I would every day pass by New York Cake and Bake, just a cake decorating shop in Lower Manhattan, and I was drawn to it. I didn't know why. I would just walk in, and it was like a museum to me. I wanted to touch things. I had no idea what anything did, but I was fascinated by it. And then they were advertising an inexpensive Wilton class. So I signed up for the class, and I was really, this is me piping, I was really good at it. I really enjoyed it, and I had always wanted to do art. I always enjoyed art, but I would see things in my imagination, and I couldn't execute them. And I found with cake, I could do it like most of the time, not all the time, and still today, not all the time, but often I could sort of see it and was happy with the result, and that was really rewarding for me. I transitioned to high school teacher. So I was a teacher for most of my sort of early cake design career, and I used to do cakes on the side just for family and friends. For a long time, 10, 15 years I did that. I started cake decorating in 95, so almost 20 years ago was when I first sort of started dabbling. And then I met my husband. He was living in California. I moved out there, and I got a job in a middle school, and that sort of did me in. That was the end of my teaching career. I knew I didn't want to do it anymore, and I transitioned to cakes full time, and I just loved it. After I had my kids, I wanted to be closer to my family, and they had relocated to Connecticut. So I moved here, kind of small town Connecticut, to be closer to my family. And my sister was had a soup business on the side. She was subletting kitchen space from someone else that had a commercial kitchen, and we decided to go in on a shop together. So we share the kitchen and share all those expenses, all that overhead. And then the front we kind of divided up to her retail section and my consultation studio. So that's where I am right now. And I got really lucky. I have the brick wall. She just has the fake wood paneling on her side. So it's worked out really well. And we've only had like 3 major blowouts at work where we're both hysterical crying in the kitchen. But other than that, it's a really nice work environment, and I'm really happy. I don't have a culinary background. I'm not like super chefy. Much of what I've learned on my own. I mean, there are absolutely advantages to going to culinary school, and there have been times that I wish I had that background. I do bake everything from scratch. I use Swiss meringue, buttercream, but there are things that that either I don't know or I think I know, but I don't have that confidence that I feel like I might have had I gone to culinary school, to know that, oh yeah, this is the right way, or this is the right technique. Lots of trial and error.
That's great. You know what? I think that sounds very similar to to my experience. And I think that a lot of people are the same way, especially, custom cake decorators. We start the cake decorating thing, and it's kind of almost an accident, and you just kind of fall into it. And there's not necessarily a culinary background because, it wasn't something you planned. But, it all works out in the end. And honestly, I think that I have done enough baking for culinary school. I had so much trial and error, so much reading, so much studying in order to get, the lineup of the recipes that you think are just perfect for you. I think it's, I guess my grandpa always said he graduated from the school of hard knocks, and I guess that's kind of the way it is with us. You just try it and keep going until you finally figure things out for yourself. So where culinary school would be great, I completely understand the not having that background.
I think also one of the areas that culinary schools are lacking in is cake design. So it gives you baking. My assistant, who's wonderful, had initially enrolled in a 4-year baking and pastry arts program, and stopped after 2 years because she wanted to do cake design, and she wasn't kind of getting that in culinary school. So that's sort of the flip side, where you have some of the the techniques that are critical for running a shop, and also some of the business aspects that they give you in culinary school. But she found that the cake classes that she took were limited to sort of piped roses, which is a skill, and I think it's coming back in. So that's absolutely
definitely important. Yeah.
Yeah. But, she wasn't getting the other aspects of cake design that she really wanted to learn, and then she came to me, so it worked out great for me.
Yeah, well, and I agree with you completely. I have had so many times where I've thought, you know what, I'm going to go do culinary school. I'm going to get that degree, and then I think, it's not personalized enough for what I do. And is it really worth the time and effort to do that? And I've shied away from it mostly because of the fact that there really isn't a specific course on, the real cake decorating that we do as you know, custom decorators. So yeah, that's why we have CakeFu and Craftsy, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
And
Yeah.
speaking,
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, speaking of Craftsy, we have a Craftsy class that you have coming out, and we have a giveaway that we're going to be doing for that. So for those of you that are listening right now, there is down below the screen, yeah, there's a place where you can go and enter the giveaway. So make sure you go down there, enter for that, and we will be picking a winner in about 18 minutes. Well, I guess the contest ends in 18 minutes. So make sure you get your entries in right now. And for those of you that are listening in on Google Plus and YouTube, you'll want to jump on over. Again, cakefu.com. There should be a link right there on that front page that will get you to the training here, and you can enter the giveaway here. So anyway, back to you, Erica.
Just to clarify, so the class actually came out last Tuesday, so a little over a week ago. So it's available.
Yeah, oh, definitely available. Yeah, and for those of you that are interested, we actually do have a discount also. It's on the website right here above the screen. There's a little thing that says "Check it out here." That is the link to get 25% off of Erica's class. So make sure you go and take advantage of that sale. And for those of you that are not on the website, I will put up a link in just a second for you so that you can access that. But Erica, how about you tell us a little bit about your Craftsy class and what it's all about?
Sure, yeah. So I was invited to do a class. I was really excited about it, and I knew what techniques I wanted to share, mostly the ones that I get the most inquiries about, whether it's via email or Facebook, people wondering how I created a certain design. So I knew that those were the ones I wanted to share, and I was working with one of the producers to sort of find a theme that would work for all the designs. You know, you want it to be sort of cohesive, not just sort of, here are these 4 random cakes I've designed. So we came up with the idea of a cake for every season. And the idea is that we're sort of interpreting the seasons in a non-literal way. So, you know, I'm not doing like a beach theme for the summer, even though, that's a great design for a cake. I wanted it to be a little bit more subtle, a little bit more playful. So all of the designs, because they're not sort of that specific to the season, can be, I think, adapted for any season, with the exception of maybe there's one cake that looks like it's wearing a sweater. So that would sort of be a wintry cake. Although I guess you could wear a lightweight sweater in the fall or the spring. But really it was about, what colors kind of evoke the different seasons, which 3-dimensional elements. So another sort of part of something else that I wanted to incorporate into the class was a lot of texture. So I started, when I started cake decorating 20 years ago, it was all about buttercream, at least here in the U.S. I think fondant was already popular in parts of Europe and South America, but here in the U.S. it was just buttercream. And then when fondant sort of came along and gained popularity, it was, a different world, just that perfectly smooth texture that you could get with fondant. You could get pretty close with buttercream, but it never quite looks that way. And then now I think it's sort of come full circle where a lot of my clients kind of object to that just, almost plastic look of fondant. They want something that looks a little bit more organic. They want something with texture. But there's still so much more you can do with fondant than you can do with buttercream. And I really like that. I mentioned I make Swiss meringue buttercream. So I'm using real butter. I'm starting with a yellowish base because of the butter. So I'm limited when it comes to colors if I want to color my buttercream. If I want to get a purple, from my buttercream, I'm starting with a yellow. It's a little tricky. With fondant, though, because I'm starting with a white, I can really be really accurate with my color. So in many ways, and for many reasons, I really do prefer fondant still. But I think the trend now is going away from that sort of perfectly perfect fondant where it barely looks like real. You know, I'm sure we've all had experiences where people are like, is that real? And then they poke a finger in it because it kind of doesn't look like cake, to where people want it to have those textural elements. So all of the cakes in the class have a texture, and they all have some sort of 3D embellishment. Some of the embellishments are meant to be eaten, and some are non-edible embellishments. But they all have both of those, a texture and something three-dimensional.
Very cool. That's awesome. I want to share with you guys this link, and let's see. Here we go. All right. Hope you guys can read that. It's www.cakefu.com/seasons. And that will get you guys the discount for Erica's class.
Great.
So
I have to say,
and I think it will be. I mean, I have a chance to watch a little bit of it. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but I think it was a really, really great class so far, and I love this style that you have. I think it's a really great style, and I just it really has inspired me. So I really am excited about it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Thanks so much. Yeah, I hate watching myself on video or even video.
All right. Well,
oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Am I? Oh, okay. But so I had to kind of force myself to watch the Craftsy video, and I actually liked it. I thought like my energy, it translated well on film because it's something that I am truly passionate about. And I think it sort of came across well. I was worried about that, but I was happy with the way the class came out.
That's great. That is wonderful. Yeah, I'm the same way. I hate to watch myself. It's so hard to watch yourself.
Horrible.
Yeah. Well, you are too. So, all right. So let's talk about what we're going to be having you share with us today. This is really exciting. I think that this is a really cool technique, and I think you guys will really, really like it. So, yeah, let's go ahead and have you, Erica, go ahead and you can get everything set up and explain what it is that you're sharing with us today.
Okay. So I guess a while back, I'm just going to push you back a little bit so I can get a shot of my desk that I'm working at.
No worries.
Actually, I'm not quite ready. I'll give a little bit of background. So a while back, I was playing around with some wafer paper and a craft punch, and I loved what I could do with the craft punch on the wafer paper. And I love wafer paper. I think it's a great medium. But for me, the wafer paper had a couple of drawbacks. One, at that time, I had only seen wafer paper that was 8.5 by 11. I understand that they do make it in bigger sheets. But for me, you know, that 11-inch edge was a little bit short. I wanted to have a longer edge to work with. And then also, I wanted to be able to work with color a little bit more. I love working with color, and I find that with wafer paper, I can't get like a really sort of intense opaque color. Can you just, I'm sorry, can you wrap it with some saran wrap just so it doesn't dry out as quickly as you can? Thanks. Sorry, my assistant I had her prepping for me. And so I was sort of playing around, and I rolled out some gum paste really thin and used it in an edge punch, and it worked great. And what I found was that I could roll my my gum paste as long as I wanted, longer than, you know, a sheet of wafer paper, and I could color it however I want it. And again, I'm starting with white, but it takes color so beautifully. So it really has some advantages. I usually make my own gum paste, but I did find that for this purpose, satin ice works great. I haven't had any experience with other brands of gum paste, but it's actually the very thing that I don't like about commercially made gum paste for making sugar flowers that works great with this. In other words, I find that usually when I'm making sugar flowers, commercially made gum paste kind of doesn't dry as quickly as I need it to, whereas with homemade gum paste, it dries quickly and it can be rolled very thin. With commercially made gum paste, it actually dries slower, but that's actually kind of desirable for what we're going to be doing. So let me just go ahead and grab my tools. Excuse me.
No worries. And for those of you that are either showing up a little bit late, or for those of you that haven't done it yet, make sure that you go and register for the giveaway. You have 8 minutes. So the giveaway is right below the screen on our CakeFu website on our training here. So just scroll down. There's a little place where you can enter your email address, and you'll be entered into the giveaway. So make sure you do that.
Thank you, Avery. Okay. And we close the door of that. So, thank you. Okay. So, so in the class on the spring cake, I use a Martha Stewart, or 2 different actually Martha Stewart edge punches that gives us really cute, really sweet, really springy kind of eyelet lace. And I was at a local fabric store the other day, and I came across a different kind of punch. So I'm gonna kind of angle you down. Oh, I don't know how you can sort of see that.
If you hold it a little bit closer and hold it still for a minute, it usually helps.
No?
Oh, I see. Just barely.
Let's see. Is the lighting not good? Should I
There you
try to...
go. Yeah, just hold it a little bit closer. I saw it when you were holding it closer. There you go.
Okay.
That is really pretty.
Yeah. So you know, everyone's at, like, I feel like doilies are like the coveted kind of design. Like everyone wants to do a good doily, and they're hard. I think the thing that makes doilies so beautiful is that open work. You know, those holes in doilies. So there are a lot of really pretty doily molds out there, but they don't give you the open work. So that's something that I really look for when I'm replicating lace or doilies or anything with that hole work. I want to see those holes in it. So I came across this and I loved it. Now I'm super frugal. Some might say cheap. I like to say frugal. And this is slightly different from a craft punch. It requires this whole system. So I was like, I don't need the system. It has this sort of, let's see, right there. It has this little kind of press area, which is used to make the impression. And I was like, I'll just get in there with my very strong fingers. But it turned out to not be the case. I really did have to invest in the system. So here is the system on my desk. It's by Fiskars. And it comes like this. And, I mean, it ended up being really inexpensive. I think it was $25 or something. But
oh, that's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn it around so you can see. So I'm working sort of backwards now, but this way it's facing you. And you just insert the little cartridge into it, and it clips on. Now, this part down here has a magnetic strip. And if you're using paper, which is really what this is intended for because it's a paper punch, you slide your paper in there, the magnets hold it in place, and then you can move your punch so that it's perfectly lined up. This doesn't really work with gum paste. I'm not rolling out a big sheet of gum paste. So on the back, there's a little release. This little orange tab just releases from this whole, sorry. So all I really want is,
It's that little cartridge part thing.
That was loud. Is the cartridge and this lever thing that
Oh, okay.
here before. Sorry.
It's all good.
To show how I do it.
We all like to see, that other people, aren't perfect. So, especially the ones we look up to so much.
Okay, so all I really want was this lever that that punches for you, and this is really what I needed. Okay. So to do this, I use gum paste. I use Nicholas Lodge's recipe. If it's too soft, you can knead in just a little bit of Tylose, a pinch to, let's say, a quarter pound of gum paste. I then roll it as thin as possible, and you want it to have a nice, I'm just going to move this up while I'm talking, a nice even roll. So you can use a pasta roller, a hand crank, or if you have a sheeter, you can use that, but I do like it to be nice and evenly rolled. And if you can't get your pasta sheeter thin enough, what you can do is back your gum paste with something to give it a little bit more width, and then it will get even thinner as you roll. But I just roll down to the thinnest. I go through the machine just a few times until it's as thin as can be. And I don't want it to be sticky, so if it is at all sticky, I'll just rub a little cornstarch on there, or even just sort of sit it out exposed to the air for a minute or so, just till it sort of dries out. So I have some gum paste that I've rolled out really thin, and I've wrapped it in plastic just so it doesn't get too dry while we're sort of sitting here talking. How's that? Can you guys see that pretty good? Is that an open angle for you? Okay.
Yeah.
So what I've done is I've taken two contrasting colors just so you can sort of see how I'm going to use them. Now, one disadvantage to this system as opposed to the Martha Stewart system is that Martha's, we're on a first name basis, Martha and I, Martha has little markers that show you where the design kind of ends, so you can line up your gum paste or your paper exactly so that the next punch begins where the other one left off, so you have just a continuous design. This system lacks that, and I tried to sort of measure, and it just was too kind of imprecise for me. So I ended up just doing just individual cutouts and then lining them up kind of manually, and it worked out fine that way. So all I just did was I cut a clean edge with just an inexpensive pizza wheel, and then I'm going to slide my gum paste in to the punch, and I want to push it all the way up to the edge. It has a guide sort of right there, and then I'm just going to punch all the way through. And once I've done that, I'm just going to lift up. I just want to make sure that all the punches were made, all my holes are there, and if not, I'm going to sort of punch again. Hopefully it'll just sort of come out nice and easily. Sometimes you might have to sort of shimmy it out a little bit. And then just keep in mind, bear in mind that you're going to have all these little cutouts here. So I'm going to move those to the side, only because I find that any little bits end up getting sort of stuck to the back invariably in places that you can't see, and then when you go to adhere them onto your cake, it won't lay smoothly. I have just a little dressmaker's pin here. I can see just one little hole that didn't pop out, so I'm just going to pop it out with a pin. Yep, comes right out. Maybe one more right there. So this is my single design. It ends right here along these edges. And then at the base, I don't like to go right up to this cutout. I like to just come just below it here. So I'm going to just grab my dummy cake. I have a little 5-inch cake that's already covered with some fondant. And I'm just working on a faux cake here because I don't have any.
Yeah, you don't, yeah. We get it.
So I could, can you kind of see that?
That is so cool. I love that you can do this with gum paste.
Yeah, I mean, it really gives me a lot of control over the colors, which I like. I don't know how well you can see it. So I would normally just sort of adhere that onto my cake just using, I make a gum glue, we call it, just a little bit of Tylose and some water. But I actually found I wanted to sort of take this design one step further. So using just a round cutter, let's see, I'm just going to make a cutout here. No, I need just a slightly bigger cutter. So this is just a round Ateco cutter set.
Mm-hmm.
And just to get a little bit of contrast, I ended up just sort of cutting this piece out. I could, if I wanted to, use it up here.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this look, this particular, it's called a die cut. This particular die, I think could go sort of like bohemian. I think it could go sort of papel picado, like a sort of Mexican look. It could go sort of Indian. But they have so many different dyes that are great for all different uses. And then I'm just going to show you how I do a slightly different color.
I can totally see that kind of an Art Deco style too.
Ooh,
that little
that.
thing. I think that'd be really fun.
If you painted it gold and or silver or did it in black, absolutely. See, my mind never goes there, but yeah, I could definitely see Art Deco. If I were doing a metallic, I always, for my metallics, and this is something I talk about in the class, I always start with the color that I'm using. So if I'm doing a gold, I always start with more of a yellow. If I'm doing a silver, I start with more of a gray, just so that way, if there are any streaks in, once I paint it with a metallic, you can't see them as much as you can if you're painting on a white. But I could definitely see that as an Art Deco design. They also have some really great geometrics, this particular line of their die cuts. So let's see, this piece I think is a little bit thicker or else something is caught. So let me sort of try to punch out. No, I think it might just be a little thicker. So I'm doing just a contrasting color here. Some technical difficulties, I'll do it.
You know, this shows the reason why you should use like a pasta roller, or make sure that it's really evenly cut out or rolled out.
I'd say that's critically important, absolutely. So for this, I just did the same design, this time in a contrasting color. And I use that same cutter, that way I know the arc is exactly the same and the sizing is exactly the same. And I'm going to line them up. So I'm going to put that now on my cake dummy. And I would repeat this design around the base of the cake. And I'm doing a similar design, different colors for, it'll be on the cake blog soon. You'll see sort of the finished product. But I'll start with this pink one. This way I know exactly where to sort of line up the orange one. So I'm just dipping a food use only paintbrush in some edible gum glue. We keep it for a few weeks, just stored in the fridge in little like baby food jars. And then I'm just going to line this up. I'm sort of not looking at it head on, so I'm hoping it's pretty well lined up. And then I would just repeat that design around the whole cake. It's just such a different look, and I love that you really get the open work there that, again, you just can't get with a mold. Can you
That,
see it? Thanks. So I do something similar in the class for the spring cake. I also share my doily technique, which is a different mold and a different system. I'm sorry, not a system, a different process, different technique. But again, it also has the open work that I really like for lace work. Yeah, sometimes people ask me about sugar veil, so I just want to put out, I know it's out there and it's beautiful. I just, I don't personally use it.
yeah. Well, there are different, different brands and things like that. Sugar Veil, Sugar Dress. There's a couple of others, but and and I think some people have even come up with some recipes on their own for them. But yeah, this right here is such an easy way to get the effect. You don't have to wait for it to, to set. With those Sugar Veil, Sugar Lace thing, Sugar Dress. You kind of have to let it sit for almost, 24 hours, especially depending on the humidity levels in the area where you live. And so I think that being able to have this where you can just roll it out, punch it, stick it on the cake, I love this. I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, the possibilities, I guess, are limited only to sort of the die cuts or the punches that are out there, but there are so many. I wouldn't look on, like, cake decorating sites. I would look on scrapbook sites, Amazon. So the big names are, well, Martha Stewart has some great ones. There's this one, I don't know if I mentioned, was Fiskars, Fiskars. It's a Fiskars die cut. There's EK Success, I think. I just remember EK because those are my maiden initials. Yeah, I mean, there are some really fun ones, and they come in, all different sizes. Like the scale of this one is kind of big, but there are some really small ones out there that, I think between the colors and the cuts you can make, the possibilities are pretty endless, almost endless.
That's really cool. Okay, so for those of you guys that are listening and watching, make sure that you ask any questions that you have for Erica in the chat box. And I'm going to ask a couple here. All right, so we have someone that says, do the negative pieces all fall out? Do you ever have to pick them out?
So I'm assuming they mean like if they get, pick them out of the punch, I guess, or
I would address both. I think addressing, if it doesn't come out of the actual piece, or if it doesn't come out of the punch, can your punch get all gummed up and gross?
Yeah, I suppose it certainly could, and I think there is a little bit of, you want your gum paste to have that right sort of consistency. It's got to be on the drier side. I haven't had it stick in there yet. I mean, I guess feasibly or theoretically it could if your gum paste was too sticky. So you want it on the drier side. Drier, I would say, than you would use probably for sugar flowers. However, I do find that when it gets too dry, it doesn't spread as much when you roll it out. When it's like really sort of at that stage where it feels like chewing gum you've been chewing for. Remember as a kid, like when you were just chewing gum for 48 hours, that same piece, and it just like didn't have that gumminess anymore. So gum paste can sort of get like that, and when it loses that gumminess, that real ability to stretch, it won't roll out thin enough, and then it will be harder to insert into the punch. So my recommendation would be to roll it out while it's a little bit sort of softer, maybe a little bit tackier, and then just let it sit. Don't do anything. Just let it sit to sort of dry out to the air. Not too much where it's going to break or crack when you go to adhere it onto the cake, because you still need it to be able to conform to the arc of the cake. But just so that some of that water content, which is what makes it kind of sticky, can evaporate. And I haven't had issues with it really sticking where the cutouts get stuck. Once I've punched it, I don't really, it's not like I'm spending hours with a straight pin picking out little dots. I brought the pin in with me just in case. I think yesterday I decorated a 9-inch tier. I went all the way around and I just had just one little dot that I had to poke out.
Awesome. And that, you know, it seems like it would be a really great system and work really well to, you know, and not get too messy. Would it be better to do this kind of let it sit, your gum paste, let it sit for a little bit and harden a little bit, or should you do it while it's still very moist?
So do you mean like freshly made gum paste?
Well, I'm thinking, once you roll it out, should you let it sit for a few minutes and let it start to harden a little bit, or should you use it right away?
I think it depends sort of on, you know, like sometimes even though we follow the exact same gum paste recipe every time we do it, sometimes it's a little bit drier, sometimes it's a little bit stickier. So I think it depends in part on, you know, how sticky your gum paste is. Also on the weather, like it's super humid here right now. I said to Amelia before we went on air, I didn't even, her hair's so nice and straight, I didn't even bother. But so right now it's really humid, so I would probably let it sit a little bit longer. So, you know, there are those factors that, I mean, I feel like, you know, classes are wonderful. Online classes are great. And that's how we learn. But part of it, you know, I can't be like inside of you to know how it feels to you. Like part of it is just having that experience to know how it should feel. So it should definitely be on the drier side. So yeah, if once you roll it out, I would definitely let it sit a little bit. But you'll know if you let it sit too much, if it's too dry, because it will crack. Yeah, so you don't want it at that dry and cracking stage.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. So basically, you just want it dry enough that it's not going to be sticky and make a mess.
Perfect.
Or you know, shift and stretch when you pull it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, and then they're asking again about the brand name of the punch.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's Fiskars, so F like Frank, S like Sam, Kars, Fiskars. Oh, you know, actually, if they go on once I found it the other day, I was so excited. I put a photo of it on my Facebook page. I don't know if people want to scroll through. But I did put a link to that actual punch, but not the system. Oh, the system, the lever system is called Advant Edge. So it's like the word advantage, but with an E. So it's ADVANTEDGE. So it's the Fiskars Advant Edge system, and that's the one that works with that particular cartridge.
Great. And then someone's saying, does the punch actually leave clean borders, or do you have to cut that out yourself?
So the top edge, that rounded edge, that's how the punch comes out, right there. So this edge is how it comes out. The bottom edge I did cut with a pizza wheel.
Great. Yeah. Right, and then they're asking also about the Martha Stewart punches. Is this a compatible thing with Martha Stewart punches, or do you have to stick with this Fiskars system?
Yeah, so I'm not well versed in die cut systems. Martha Stewart has punches that work kind of like a hole puncher would. So it's just a single unit. You know, the lever is sort of built in on springs into the unit, and they make just single punches, you know, similar to what we're used to, just a round hole punch, but they make them in all different shapes, and they have this sort of edge punch, which is like a rectangular sort of punch, but it works the same way. You buy one item and punch it. So all of those are sort of self-contained units that you can purchase, all those Martha Stewart punches, and the ones that I demo in the Craftsy class are just, it's a Martha Stewart edge punch, and it's a self-contained unit. Fiskars also makes those self-contained punches. This particular one, I guess, is more of a die cut, and I hope I'm using that term correctly, but so it's a cartridge that is used, you know, with this system. So this is the only one that I have used that requires a system, or like that is a cartridge that is not sort of a self-contained thing that requires something additional to make it work. And of course, every company, I'm sure, wants to sell their own system. So no, it is not compatible with other die-cut systems or punches.
Okay, so that little lever system is not compatible
With other
What if?
cartridges, if
Okay,
they
yeah,
cartridges,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so would this technique work with the Martha Stewart punches?
Yeah, and that's the one. I wish I had sent you a few photos of the cake from the class. It's the spring cake. It's pink, and it has clusters of cherry blossoms, and the top and bottom edge are lined with white, what's it's supposed to look like an eyelet lace, and I did that with a Martha Stewart punch. And then the center of each tier has a different sort of lace pattern that I also did with the Martha Stewart edge punch. And so I can't remember the question. So yeah, it would work. It's the same thing that I did with the Martha Stewart punches. Yeah.
Okay, great.
It's, think of it, if you can do it with paper, you can do it with a paper punch on gum paste. Are you there, Amelia? Because I'm not seeing you.
So sorry.
Oh, okay.
I have to let you guys know this week my computer bit the dust. It got knocked off a table and the hard drive is damaged and I have to get a new one. But this is my husband's computer. It doesn't hardwire to the internet connection like the hard. So if my connection is bad, I so apologize for that. But it will be fixed as soon as my computer's fixed. Anyway, so we were talking about that beautiful cake that you were, that pink cake.
Yeah. So essentially, any of those paper punches will work on gum paste. Yeah, you just have to, think about your gum paste as sort of paper. You just want to roll it paper thin, or
Okay.
as thin as possible.
Perfect. All right, and then we did have another question. Someone was asking if you have ever used like a Mexican paste with these punches. And I guess let's open that up to fondant also. Can you use it with fondant?
So fondant, I feel like, would be too sticky for this purpose. The fondant is made to sort of drape and cover cakes and be very malleable, and it's exactly those qualities that you really don't want for this kind of application. We don't want something super stretchy. We don't want something that's gonna have a lot of moisture in it. If you think about fondant, it really never sort of hardens, and you really can't roll it that thin. So I would say no to fondant. In an absolute fondant emergency, and I laugh every time I say that because what could possibly constitute a fondant emergency? But we've all had them. If it were an absolute emergency and I only had fondant on hand, I would mix in a hefty amount of Tylose. So Tylose is a synthetic version of gum tragacanth, which is a drying agent, and that's what's used in gum paste, or CMC powder, all the same. They're drying agents. So I would mix a very generous amount, let's say like a teaspoon of Tylose into like maybe a half pound of fondant, and that will sort of stiffen it and speed the drying, but really I don't recommend it. Mexican paste would definitely be great, and a lot of people don't have experience with Mexican paste. So I would say on the continuum, there's sort of fondant over here, gum paste in the middle and Mexican paste here. So gum paste is sort of in between. It still has some stretch factor, still has some moisture in it. Mexican paste is even drier and has less stretch, so therefore it's not used, for example, for sugar flours, but it's great for cutouts like this, and you can roll it super thin. So yes to Mexican paste. And there are recipes out there. I use the one Alan Titro from Global Sugar Art has some really great YouTube tutorials, and I just use his recipe: 8 ounces of sifted confectioner sugar, 3 ounces of 3 tablespoons of Tylose, and then 6 tablespoons of water. But I would watch his YouTube tutorials. Very informative.
Great. Yeah, definitely a good recipe. Okay, so someone just asked about modeling chocolate now. So can it work with modeling chocolate?
Nothing personal against modeling chocolate, but it just hates me. I don't know why. I can't use it. I can't make it. I don't have any experience with it, and the experience that I do have with it is all negative. I know there are people that have great success with modeling chocolate, but I honestly don't know. So if someone that does have experience, if you don't mind, Amelia, would kind of comment on that, I would appreciate that, because I get so many questions about modeling chocolate, and I really honestly have no experience with it. I know that Jessica Harris, a blogger and also craftsy instructor, works sort of exclusively with modeling chocolate and has great luck with it. I really don't know, and I would hate to sort of mislead anybody.
Well, with my experience, I would imagine that you could probably get modeling chocolate to work. Yeah, you probably could. It's probably about the same as fondant, though. It's probably going to be a lot harder to roll it out as thin as you want it to be, and yeah, it may end up sticking a little bit more. So I think gum paste is probably your best bet. And if you want to try the modeling chocolate, go for it and let us know how it goes.
Yeah, I would love to know too.
Awesome. Okay, well, our time is pretty much up. I wanted to give you guys the link one more time. Here we go, cakefu.com/seasons. And that will get you 25% off of Erica's fairly new Craftsy class. Really great class. I appreciate it and enjoy it. Beautiful cakes. Beautiful cakes. Okay, so we need to pick our winner of the giveaway. And let me do this. This is something that I usually have Bobby taking care of, but since I am using his computer, I have to figure out how to do this. So, let's see. I probably need to refresh the page. And let's see if it's here. Let's hope. Oh, yay! I can choose a winner. Okay, here we go. Drum roll. Looks like our winner is, okay, it's just an email address, so I am going to spell it out because I can't read this. It's XIAOLU6. Xiaolu6. So, yeah, we'll send you an email with a link to your free Craftsy class. And congratulations. For those of you that didn't get a chance to win, make sure you head on over and take advantage of this 25% offer that Craftsy has been so gracious to give to us. And yeah, enjoy Erica's class. She's a really great instructor and really talented, very stylish. I just love everything about you and your work. I think it's so pretty.
Thank you so much. You're embarrassing me, but thank you. And congratulations to the winner.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and what's up?
Oh no, I was just gonna encourage people, whether it's Craftsy or another platform or format. I had I took cake decorating classes years ago, and then I stopped for a long time. And then I took a sugar flower class with someone whose work I really admired, and who to me was like a master. And she said that she continues to take classes at least once a year. And I remember feeling like, you do? And I think it's really important to, just like in any profession, a doctor or a lawyer or in any profession where people are expected to keep current on new trends and new developments. It's the same in what we do, and I think we should all encourage each other, no matter what level we're at, to continue taking classes, because that's how we learn and grow and meet people and aren't, sort of stagnant, and develop new ideas and techniques. And there are always so many developments out there that, we work in such solitary, such a solitary environment, that I think it's so important to get out there and meet people through classes and learn that way. So thank you so much for sharing this and bringing this to everyone's attention. I think it's really important, and I really appreciate what you're doing for us artists.
Thank you so much. Hey, I wanted to kind of second what you just said. I think that you made a really good point. If you look at any other industry where things are changing all the time, take a hairstylist, for example. A hairstylist needs to continue going to school. They will take workshops and classes and things like that to stay current on the trends that are out there. If they don't, then they're not going to be current, and they aren't going to be able to have those high-end clients that they're looking for. And so it's part of the industry that we're in, that if you want to stay current and if you want to keep yourself up there with everybody else, you've got to be taking classes. In fact, I'm the same way. I've won national awards, so you would think, oh, she's made it, she's good, she doesn't need any more classes, but it's so not true. Things have changed so much since, just 3 or 4 years ago. Everything is different, and if you want to stay on top of the trends and the techniques that are coming out and constantly coming and changing, you've just got to keep up with the classes going. So I completely agree with everything you just said. So. And again, that's why we have Craftsy, and that's why we have CakeFu, right?
Right, yeah. So thank you so much, Amelia. It was really fun.
Thank you so much, Erica. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. And I hope you guys do go and take advantage of this sale, and I hope you guys appreciate it. Go find Erica on Facebook, her Erica OBrien Cakes, because she really is talented.
I think it's
following her.
On Facebook, it's Erica OBrien Cake Design. It's the whole,
Okay,
the whole
Erica OBrien Cake Design.
There, yeah. Thanks.
All right.
All
right. Thank you. We'll see you another time.
Okay, great.
Bye.
Bye.